So, hey there, guys. Welcome back to Accelerated Real Estate Investor. I'm your host, Josh Cantwell. And today we are talking about my favorite topic in real estate, which is raising private money. So if you're an active investor looking for more capital for your deals, or you're a passive investor looking to deploy your money and looking for ways to find active operators to lend to, partner with, joint venture with, you guys are both going to love this interview. Today, my guest is my friend, Jay Conner. Jay has been investing in real estate since 2003, really started going after 6 years of kind of failing, 6 years of really kind of struggling, really took off in 2009. Jay has raised millions and millions of dollars of private money. He has a very robust portfolio of single family rentals and small apartment buildings. And Jay has released a book called Where to Get the Money Now. And it's all about how to get private money for your deals. So Jay reveals his secrets and strategies to recruiting and raising private money. And in this interview, Jay and I talk specifically about, number one, the 3 specific places to go to raise private money right now. We're also going to cover, number 2, Jay's specific 5-step process of what he does with a possible new private lender to go from starting the conversation all the way to getting a verbal pledge. We talk through that. We also talk about some of Jay's early struggles in his first 6 years and why it's okay to struggle, but it's not okay to not seek help. And also, number 4, we talk about, Jay specifically said one thing. I wrote it down. Where is it at? Here it is. Number 4, math makes decisions. Okay, we'll talk about why Jay keeps the emotion out of every real estate transaction and every real estate deal he does by having the math make the decision. So you're going to love this interview with Jay Conner, especially, look, if you're short on cash for your real estate deals, if you've been turned down by banks, if you lack the confidence to raise private money, or you're frustrated and feel stuck with your investment career, you're going to love this interview with private money expert Jay Conner. Here we go.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you're looking to retire early with forever passive income, you're in the right place. This podcast is the go-to destination for real estate investors, both active and passive, and multifamily apartment investors, both new, intermediate, and advanced. Now, sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So Jay, hey, listen, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for joining me today on Accelerated Real Estate Investor. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Josh, and thank you so much for inviting me to come along. I'm excited to be here and talk about my favorite subject.
That's right. Favorite subject for you and I both. You and I love private money. We love to raise it. We love to teach it. We love to talk about it for residential and commercial deals. I did a webinar yesterday and we raised $6.6 million for our next apartment deal. And I told my partners, I texted them when it was over, and they're like, dude, you live for this stuff. I'm like, yes, I live for it. So I am excited to have you on to talk about some of your thoughts and strategies about private money. Before we do, tell us what you're up to today. What are you up to? What are you working on that you're excited about, projects? And what are you excited about for 2022 in your business?
What I'm excited about in 2022, Josh, is my entire business, my entire team. One of our core values is always coming from the space of a servant's heart. And what I mean by that is, a lot of real estate investors out there have got a bad name for themselves, at least whether it's true perception or not. But a lot of people out there that don't know us, when I say us, I'm talking about real estate entrepreneurs in general, that, oh yeah, people out there to take advantage of other people and, they're distressed and et cetera. And my entire outlook is completely different than that. It's how can I make a difference? How can I help people in distress get back on their feet? and create win-win scenarios? Well, the reason I say that is because of your question. And your question is, what am I excited about, passionate about for the upcoming year? And here it is. I believe that it's been a long time that we will have had an opportunity to serve as many people as we're going to be able to serve in 2022. I'm talking about people with single family houses, people that are facing foreclosure. You know, we're going to be able to help those people out. Carol Joy, my wife, and I, we started devising a system of actually locating people in foreclosure and distress before other real estate investors even know about it, and how we can help them and put money back into their pocket. And so, due to being on this side of COVID, I don't believe we're going to see any kind of opportunities like we did in 2007, 8, and 9, but I do believe that there's going to be big time opportunities to help people, and the advice that goes along with that for everybody else. I mean, I'm excited about it because, I mean, the more people I can help, the more people I can help win and create win-win strategies. And so I think we're just going to have a huge opportunity to serve a lot of people. And I'm not talking bank-owned properties. I'm talking about helping these people prior to their homes going to sale and et cetera, before it becomes a bank-owned property. Yeah, big time opportunity to create win-win-win scenarios.
Love it. Love it. So sounds like from a market perspective, you're definitely, we're going to see an uptick in foreclosures. The foreclosure moratoriums are gone. I agree with you that it's not going to look like 2008 and 9. Back then, you know, the banks were the problem. Today, banks are highly liquid. There's cash everywhere. They're lending money at very low rates. There's lots of private investors that want to deploy their capital. And when capital is flowing freely, that allows for economic opportunity. But obviously, there's people who had a mortgage, couldn't pay it during COVID, had a foreclosure moratorium, went 6 months or 12 months without paying it, and then have no way of making that payment up, getting caught up and keeping their home. So serving them either by purchasing it, negotiating a short sale, some sort of forbearance agreement. There's all these opportunities. But from a market perspective, Jay, where do you think the market is going with all the different levers that can be pulled from low interest rates to lots of private money to more foreclosures? Obviously, home values are going up. Where do you see the market landing a year from now? At the end of 2022, if you had a crystal ball, I know I'm kind of asking you to predict the unpredictable, but what are your thoughts on where we'll end up a year from now?
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask me for my 5-year crystal ball or my 3-year crystal ball, because quite frankly, as you say, it's unpredictable. But over the years, and I'm 61 years old and I've been full-time in real estate investing since 2003. And about the furthest I've been able to see, listening to all the experts that are even smarter than me, is about a year down the road, is about all that I can really get a gut feel for.
Sure.
And I believe, and a lot of other people smarter than me, believe that the next year is not going to slow down at all. And when I say slow down, I'm talking about prices of homes. I don't think we're going to see much increase at all in interest rates. And so we've got like this tsunami or this economic real estate storm going on that is being driven, in my opinion, from 2 criteria. One is supply and demand. I mean, when I first started, and I've been a mortgage broker for almost 30 years, I started going to continuing ed before they required it. And one of the smartest guys I ever met predicted 20 years ago exactly where we are today. Due to population increases and other people moving into this country, there was not going to be enough supply to keep up with demand for housing. That goes for single family houses and apartments as well. Just some place for some people to live, And we see what have happened to prices nationwide for single family houses and for rentals as well. So that's not going to slow down. So that's going to continue to drive prices up. I mean, just here in our area in Eastern North Carolina, we have seen prices go up in the past year by 25 to 30%.
Great
right
markets
here
over
in
there.
Eastern North Carolina. So you got that. That's going to drive prices up. But then you've got this other piece of the puzzle, and that is as long as interest rates are staying down as low as they can, people can buy a whole lot more house than they could a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, just because of the interest rates. So as a result, I would not be shocked to see prices going up at that 20 to 30%. However, you got this other creature or critter called inflation. And inflation it's like, yeah, the prices are going up, people's values are going up. But if inflation is going up, then really what kind of effect is that having on true wealth that people are actually going to be able to keep into their pocket?
Yes.
It's I've never seen any more moving parts as far as what's going to happen with this economy over the next year. But I think that's the bottom line. I think the prices are going to still continue to go up after the next year. I don't know. Now,
Crystal ball is only a 12-month crystal ball. It's not a 13-month crystal ball. I got you. I feel the same way. That's why I asked 12 months from now, because 5 years from now, who knows, right? Who knows? But I think one of the interesting that's going on, and I agree with you that interest rates will stay low. I agree with you that inflation is kind of here to stay for a while, because I think it's a much more global economic reason. If you look at all the Federal Reserves, I'm going to go down this quick bunny trail. Look at all the Federal Reserves and central banks around the world, China, European Union, you name it. All the central banks and all these governments have so many unfunded liabilities. Those unfunded liabilities cannot be paid for. It's unrealistic. It's impossible for them to actually be paid for. So the only tool that the governments have is to deflate, debase whatever currency they have. The dollar, the yen, they have to debase it in order to have inflation go up. So those dollars, yen, European, whatever it is, goes down, so we can more likely afford the unfunded liabilities that have been created. It's the only tool. So when people say, oh my God, the Federal Reserve is printing so much money, people listen, it's happening around the world. All the central banks are doing it. So now Biden is, frankly, the perfect president. I'm not saying he's a socialist, but much more social economics than Trump was to implement these strategies that allow inflation to happen, especially coming off of COVID. So I believe that inflation is here to stay, but I do believe, weirdly enough, that interest rates will stay low. That usually the tool is calm inflation by raising interest rates. I don't think that's going to happen, because I feel like the federal banks and the central banks are letting inflation happen on purpose because they have to. All right, that's my bunny trail. Now, back to Jay. Let's talk about raising money, because that's my other favorite topic. Listen, there's going to be opportunity next year, right? There are going to be people more facing foreclosure, pre-foreclosure. We know that that's coming. Prices are still going up, so it's a phenomenal way to invest. It's a phenomenal time to invest. And I tell my audience, look, you've got to own the asset. We all read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Multiple Streams of Income, those books to buy and let real estate work for us. So I love flipping. I love rehabbing. I love, doing an apartment deal and selling it. But flipping doesn't ultimately make us wealthy. It's holding the asset. In order to do that, funding equals freedom. And Jay, you've become an expert over the years. You've raised millions and millions and millions of dollars. You've taught thousands of students to do the same thing. I'm curious to know, because I want to take some notes and get some tricks from you. What are some of your thoughts around raising private money? What are some favorite ways of yours to unlock private money from private investors to fund your deals?
Yeah, so in my experience, there's three primary categories of where you're going to locate private money. And just to make sure everybody understands, we're not talking hard money. We're not talking brokers. We're not talking institutions. We're not talking banks. We're talking getting money and doing business with individuals just like you and me. There's three categories of those people that I have had very success with doing business with and locating them. First of all, is what we call, or what I call, your own personal warm market, or your own personal connections, your own influences, etc. The second one is what I call the expanded market, or expanded warm market. Where can you go right there locally where you live to expand your own center of influence? The third category are existing private lenders that have already been loaning money out to other real estate investors. So let me take just a second and talk about each of those three. So The warm market. Well, I'm talking about people of all types of connections, any of your social groups, church, your cell phone contacts, your email contacts, your Facebook friends. And I don't mean your fake Facebook friends, but your real Facebook friends. I'm talking about your LinkedIn connections, any of that, right? And so that's the first category. And if time permits, I'll go over the quick 5 steps on how to communicate with those people in a very quick and automated way. Secondly, the expanded market. A lot of times students of mine will say, Jay, all my people are broke. My network is not hardly existent. First of all, I don't believe them. But secondly, I say to everyone, you should expand your warm market connections anyway. And so I practice and I teach expanding your warm market. What is that? It's simply coming down to getting involved with the local community and being a servant and being a volunteer. I love the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club is a great place to go serve your time, of course, churches and et cetera. The third group, existing private lenders. So the question I get all the time is, well, Jay, how in the world do you locate these existing private lenders that are already loaning money out? 3 quick answers. Number 1, don't do it the way I started.
Love it.
So the first place to find existing private lenders are on public record. The people that have got a deed of trust or a mortgage that have backed their promissory notes. So, years ago when I started raising private money, I hired my real estate attorney's paralegal to search local public records of where there's promissory notes that's backed by real estate, not institutions, not LLCs, but individual names. We're in a small area, 40,000 people. We found 3 in 90 days. I said, there's got to be a quicker way to do it than that. So then, in addition to that, I hired some very sophisticated software developers. So since 2011, it might have been 2012, we have got our own private lender data feed that goes out every month and gets every closing in the nation. You can search it by zip code, and we got their contact information of these individuals, how much money they're loaning out, the interest rate that they are accustomed to getting. And a ton of these people are happy at 6%, 7% on their money. You can go into this software and search by zip code, people in your local area. Another great place to find existing private lenders are at self-directed IRA companies. So these self-directed IRA companies will have networking events. A lot of it now is virtual. But here's what's interesting. My statistics show me that 70% plus, 70% of people that hold and own a self-directed IRA account are looking to loan their money out to real estate investors. So I say the more money you wallow in, the more money sticks to you. So get involved in those self-directed IRA networking events.
That is fantastic stuff. That's a lot of great information.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast.
The other piece, right? So I would just add one more is, right, digital marketing and creating new funnels. Now that's more of a 506c federal securities. You're going after, accredited investors using a digital marketing funnel. But the 3 that you mentioned, the personal warm market, the expanded warm market, and existing private lenders can all be done today without any significant marketing expense, without any significant dollars out of your pocket. It's really by using your mouth, using your feet, getting out and, networking with people in the right places and saying the right things. That's fantastic stuff. And Jay, that's exactly how I got started. I got started, again, warm friends, family, people that, and I would say anybody, my target market was 4 groups. anybody who I could buy a house from, anybody who I could sell a house to, anybody who could lend or invest with me, or anybody who could cheerlead for me. I wanted them to be on my email distribution list, my newsletter list, in my cell phone, because I got some of my best leads from people, like you said, that did not have money, but they would cheerlead for me, introduce me to people, say, hey, Josh is doing something with real estate. Oh, you're interested in real estate. And they were a connector. Like, those were the best people. So I'll tell the story some other time. My first private investor. Oh my God, the story behind that's wild. But anyway, last one is new funnels. There's a whole nother class that Jay and I could teach, which Jay does teach, on new investors, funnels, digital marketing for private investors. You could do all that as well. A little bit more sophisticated. I love it. So Jay, let's talk about this 5-step process, right? Because there's money available in the group, the first group, the personal warm market and the expanded warm market. There's probably millions of dollars that all of our listeners can go get just by kind of warming that group up, right? And having a strategy, a way to do it. So let's talk about your 5-step process. Again, this is in the book, right?
Yep, this is in the book that was just recently released. And to your listeners, I got a free copy for them.
The book is called Where to Get the Money Now by Jay Conner, our guest today. Where can they get the book?
Sure. So my last name is an ER, not an OR. So they can get the book at www.jayconner, JAYCONNER.com/free book. That's jayconner.com/free book. And it's $20 on Amazon. Your audience gets it for free. Just spend a couple of bucks and cover shipping.
Nice. Love it.
But this new book, Where to Get the Money Now, goes through these exact steps in detail and shows and reveals how I raised $2,150,000 my first 90 days when I lost my lines of credit at the bank back in 2009. And we knew what was going on then, right? But first of all, Josh, let me say this on these 5 steps. So this will be a quick 50,000-foot view of these 5 steps of raising money from your warm market. All the details are in the book. But first, let me say this, and that is your mindset and your outlook on how you are attracting money. I just want all of your listeners to know, Josh, to this date, I have yet to ask anybody for money when I've been raising money. I've never asked for money. And people say, Jay, how in the world do you get millions of dollars for your real estate investing business and you don't ask for any money? It's real simple. I put on my teacher hat. I teach people what private money is. We've got right now about 47 individuals that are funding our deals, and none of them had ever heard of private money. None of them had ever learned or heard about self-directed IRAs. And that's why it's so important, Josh, from my experience, for your listeners to develop a relationship with a self-directed IRA company, because over half of our private lenders are loaning us money from their retirement funds. And without having that connection to introduce them to, then they're not even going to know how to do it. So what are those 5 steps in the warm market? Number 1, and this is going to be really down and dirty and fast. Number 1, make your list. I teach my students to make your list of your top 50 potential private lenders within your network. And don't rule out anybody, but how do you start making your first 50? Well, if somebody is retired in your own personal network, there's a pretty good chance they've got a retirement fund. They got a pension or a previous 401k that they could move over to a self-directed IRA company and start funding your deals. So number 1, make your list. Number 2 is what we call an opening casual conversation. An opening casual conversation. And this conversation, again, is I'm not talking or chasing or begging or trying to sell anybody into anything. We've got 2 different types of methods on the opening conversation that the book goes into detail. We have the direct method and we have the indirect method. Without getting into the scripting, and the book has got all the scripting, it's very, very simple. The direct method is only 3 to 4 sentences of developing rapport over the phone. It can be in phone or in person. And the direct method asks what we call the magic question. And the magic question is, do you have investment capital or retirement funds not giving you a high rate of return safely and securely? Well, if they say no, I know they're broke, because 0.17% in a 12-month CD ain't much money. But if they say yes, that takes us to step number 3. Before I get to step number 3, the indirect method. Without getting into the scripting, the indirect method is just simply asking someone to help you spread the word. One magic phrase is, I need your help. I need your help. Well, what do you need my help with? Well, I've now opened up my real estate investing business to people I know and trust, and I'm now paying insane high rates of return. When you run across someone that's complaining about the volatility of the stock market or getting 0.17% in a 12-month CD, would you refer them to me and I'll tell them about my program? Well, you know what's going to happen. If they've got investment capital, they want to hear about your program.
Yeah, what about me?
What about me? And so, in fact, the first $1 million that I raised was by using the indirect method, asking people to help me spread the word that I've got this just wonderful program. Then if they had, and they did, I got both. They spread it, and I would teach them. Now, before you get into these 5 steps, you got to know what your program is, right? Well, the good news is my book explains the exact program that you offer to people, the interest rate, how you protect them, how they can get their money back with a 90-day call option, and all that kind of stuff. Step number 3 is I let the tools do the work. So I have recorded and personalized over 1,000 16-minute audios for people. Then people can just email, text, etc. Send this audio out. It's called Stress-Free Investing. This 16-minute audio just introduces the idea of what private money and private lending is, and it then leads your prospects to step number 4. Step number 4 is what's called the one-on-one appointment. This can be in a group on a Zoom, or it can be one-on-one at lunch or over the phone. Step number 4 reveals the exact program. It spills the beans. It tells what interest rate you're paying, how they're protected, how long the term is, their minimum investment, and etc. The book goes into the details of the program, and it's very simple. And step number 5 is get a verbal pledge. And again, I've never had to even ask anybody for a verbal pledge. When I finish with the program, I promise you, and it only takes 20 minutes to go through it. I promise you, when I finish explaining the program, if they've got investment capital or retirement funds, or they know somebody that does, they're now chasing me and wanting to, and they're asking the question, well, what do I do, Jay? Just write you a check? Of course, the answer is no. We're going to go find a deal as soon as possible, put the money to work, and close it with a real estate attorney. But again, that's the fast, 30,000-foot view of the 5-step method in the warm market. The book also goes into details of the 5-step method with working with existing private lenders as well.
Oh, that's great stuff, Jay. Like, wow, especially with this short podcast format that we have. I mean, you teach this over a several-day seminar. Teach us in your training program. So 1, make your list. 2, the opening casual conversation. 3, let the tools do the work, which Jay mentioned, those recordings that he has, sending those out. Number 4, the one-on-one appointment and reveal the program. Essentially, that's where you're doing the training, right? This is just, again, a conversation. It's a training opportunity. You're teaching somebody what private money is, how they can do it without asking them for it. And then the verbal pledge is ultimately where you show them how the program works and say something along the lines of, hey, do you know anybody that would be interested in something like this? And they're going to probably say, what about me? I'm interested in that. I've got some capital, or I know somebody that does, right? So in no time during that 5-step process did Jay ask for money. The verbal pledge comes because they've been trained on how it could work, and they've convinced themselves that this is beneficial for them. Fantastic stuff.
In my newest real estate investing book, The Flip System, you'll learn the proven secrets and strategies that I've used to be a successful real estate investor. You'll also hear the story of my journey from quitting my job to doing over 2,000 units of apartments. The Flip System is now available for a limited time, and you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. You'll learn the same proven principles and secrets and investing strategies that I used to quit my job and pursue a life of financial freedom. In this book, I'm sharing exactly how I was able to personally close over 750 profitable real estate deals, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million, and acquire over 2,000 units of cash flowing apartments. Get my newest book now for free at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast.
Jay, you've been doing this for a long time. It's 2003. You've raised millions of dollars. Thank you for finally putting this in this new book, Where to Get the Money Now. You guys all need to go get that book. It's fantastic stuff. Jay, listen, if you were to go back and talk to your younger former self and look at what you've done and how the successes you've had, look at some of your members, your students, the successes that they've had. I'm sure there were also some initial challenges that were faced. What were some of those initial challenges that you faced and some of your members face? And then what advice would you give our audience on how to overcome those challenges or things you would have done differently?
So number one, don't do what I did the first 6 years.
Okay. What was that?
And that was,
Avoid that.
I was out here trying to do this business by myself and not working with anybody that had already done it and had already walked through the mines. So my first big piece of advice is don't do what I did. I mean, I didn't even go get actual professional education on this real estate investing.
You were just winging it
until I was, 6 years into it. Number two, do not let your emotions make the decision on what you invest in. The math makes the decisions, and you got to know what the math is. So when I'm buying a property with all private money, there is a formula, which happens to be in the book as well. But when I'm buying a property, whether it's commercial or single family, there is a specific formula to follow on what is your maximum amount that you are going to be willing to pay all cash for that property. But in addition to that, if I'm buying a property on what we call terms, using creative financing, subject to seller financing, whatever, then that's a whole different formula. Like if I'm buying on terms, then I can actually pay, full retail for a house if the terms are right. So, I didn't know none of that stuff my first 6 years. So, my advice is your audience needs to hook themselves up to a Josh Cantwell and learn what not to do and learn what to do the way Josh does it,
I love it.
So yeah, don't let the emotions make the decision. Let the math make the decision, and not only hook yourself up with somebody that knows what they're doing. Masterminds, all my lands. The biggest return I've gotten on my investment, Josh, is hanging around like-minded people. I'm in 3 mastermind groups of other real estate investors that I pay a lot of money to be in, but you don't have to pay a lot of money. Start out smaller, but hang around people that are like-minded, find the masterminds, and let me tell you where they are not. Now, you should be involved in your local RIA and be a servant and volunteer at your local RIA, but your smartest people are some of the mastermind groups that are out there of real estate investors that have proven themselves. I want to hang around people in the business I'm interested in that are smarter than me and have already made a lot more mistakes than I have.
Love it, Jay. Fantastic advice. Guys, listen, the book again, Jay Conner, spelled JayConner.com. The book is free for y'all to go ahead and go get, except just pay the shipping and handling to get it out, and go ahead and check that out. So if you're short on cash for your deals, if you've been turned down by banks, if you don't have the confidence to go raise money, go get Jay's book right now. Jason, listen, this is just fantastic stuff. Real actionable stuff, guys. Listen, here's what we learned. Like the different categories and places to go get funds: personal warm market, expanded warm market, existing private lenders. And then we talked a little bit about new funnels and then the 5-step process. This is just a small bite, small taste of what's inside the book. Jay, listen, I had an absolute blast having you on the show. It's been great to build this new relationship with you over the last couple months. I look forward to having that expand and grow and working together in the future. Thanks so much for being on today.
Same here, Josh. Thank you so much for having me, Josh. And I hope to be seeing you soon.
Well, there you go, guys. There you have it. There was the interview there with Jay. Man, I had a blast learning about his 3 places to go get private money now and his 5-step process for recruiting and raising private money, especially the fact that he doesn't ask for money and gets what he called the verbal pledge. I also love the part where he talked about math makes decisions. So anytime I can talk to another expert about recruiting and raising private money, I get pretty geeked up. You could tell I was pretty excited during that interview. So if you enjoyed the interview, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, whether you're on iTunes or Spotify or you're on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. We release them twice a week, most of the time twice a week. And I'm really excited that you are here today. If you feel compelled, I would be so grateful if you would leave us a rating and a review. It means so much to me to see the feedback, the impact that we're having on other people. And hopefully this is advancing your real estate investing career. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Josh here. And do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes. Okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're gonna do then is every week we're gonna pick our favorite rating and review, and we're gonna send that person a free t-shirt and maybe again some other cool fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So again, don't forget to take a screenshot, leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You were just listening to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, help us build the AI community by leaving a review and 5-star rating on our iTunes podcast channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. To see passive investing opportunities, visit freelandventures.com/passive. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of with multifamily apartments, apply for one-on-one coaching with Josh at www.joshcantwellcoaching.com.